in the sense that it's living in its own grace, and then drop me in the sense of anybody living in its own grace, and back to union, you know. That's a silly game, huh? Mm-hmm. Apparently the only game in town. Okay, let's stop here. So how does this come? Is still the last card, and next week we'll spend the whole hour on on the awareness exercise. I'm going to play so let's get quiet for a second. Okay, thanks for coming. How about y'all?
My teenagers kind of figuring out how cool it is to be uncool. You know, for the first time, and it's amazing what's happening. You know, just to let it out, and whatever happens, happens, and you know, it's just awesome. Just awesome to see. The more uncool he is, the more he loses it, and the more my kid loses it and stuff. It's just like, wow. And you know, I've actually been showing up for things like that. And it's huge for me. And I've been having a ball. I couldn't do that before. You know, my resistance behaviors for my kid, my humiliation script was so strong that I would get sick to have to go somewhere. And you know, it's funny, earlier this week I did get kind of sick. Thought I had another sinus infection or whatever. Ended up going to this guy that I see the doctor that I see, and I had this rash on both sides of my face. Really feeling crappy, and I knew it was kid. I just knew with all the work and all the trudging through this shit that there was something going on. Sure, I didn't feel good, so what? So I went to the doctor, and he said, you have this thing called Fifth disease, like the number 5. And he goes, it's really rare in adults because it only happens to kids. And he goes, I've seen it this once or twice, it's starting to migrate into adults, but this just happens to kids. And I go, that is awesome. And he goes, what do you mean? And I go, well, never mind. Yeah. And you know, it didn't mean that I felt better right away, but it's just like, I can let the kid feel sick. If he needs to feel sick, feel sick, but we're going to keep working on it.
He doesn't feel sick, he needs to get your attention for something.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to
do the purpose. Yeah, well, he's not doing that just to feel sick, he's doing that to accomplish some purpose.
Yeah, and it's amazing.
That's why.
Well, when I show up for something, all of a sudden he feels better. And so it's been an amazing process to watch all of this. And then I listened to everybody in here about their stuff with careers, and you know, I've never been worried about that for some reason. And a lot of that was kid when I was younger. But you know, I've always been taken care of. You know, I have a good time on what I do. I get to create, and when you know, I was thinking about Debbie thinking taking a day off. I'm thinking, well, should I take the next week or the next 2 weeks? You know, I've always been taken care of, and then when I'm home, I get to create too, so it always works out great. But worrying about a career, I always felt less than because I never worried about that. Well, that's just the way it is. But like you said one time when we were in here, I just love that. All of that shit out there gets to stay here when we're gone, but all the stuff we get to do in here, we get to take with us. But, you know, I understand that. Pretty awesome. Yeah, I will take the next week off. I'm going to have it all. And I might even show up for some different things. I don't know. But anyway, I am so grateful to be here. It's just awesome. Just awesome work.
Well, last chance. 2 minutes. Go.
I just didn't want to share today. My kid is so crazy the past week or so, and my kid has been doing pretty well. Felt pretty loved and tolerated and accepted for a but it's just been rough. So it's all the stuff that people are talking about is work. I just don't, kids don't want to share it. I have a job where I'm in pretty much my JavaScript almost all the time, but I'm up for another job and blah, blah, blah. And that has my kid going, you know? That one would be in my JavaScript too, but it's, which one shall I have? What shall I do? Shall I move? Shall I say? Shall I do what you're saying, which is what my shrink always used to say, which is,
Oh God, I gotta change that.
which is concentrate on the spiritual and do whatever, as much work as you need to sustain the spiritual lifestyle. And this would be more work, I think, probably than, but, you know, and I think the kids' reaction has been, it's been real busy in my JavaScript job, which it never is, the past couple weeks, coincidentally, that has been. So I've had to work hard, which has given me plenty of time to avoid dealing with the kid or reassuring the kid. So that's what I chose to do. And that doesn't feel right. And, you know, I know it doesn't feel right. I mean, I know enough about this to know, but, you know, it's one of those. I don't know. I will just continue to, well, I've always focused. Cool. That's all I can do.
Michael?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I hate to throw a damper on everybody's week here, but, you know, I'm just having an outstanding time. Just outstanding. I mean, I think my glitch level has gone from like a 10 to like a 1, 2 or something. And it's so, at work, it's like, I watch the guys that are normally my needles coming at me and starting shit, and it's like, okay. And just not reacting to it. I don't know why. And I know this will pass, but...
You say so.
You know, I mean, maybe it won't. I hope it won't. But I got to say that I'm just like not responding for some reason to all the bullshit that's coming at me. And not just at work. You know, it's just whatever I seem to be doing. It's really interesting, and I think it's because my kids are changing. They're not fighting so much, and I feel that a little bit. I don't have a great, you know, dialogue with them yet, but I can feel them calming down a little bit. And I'm not getting a lot of the resistance stuff going on. I haven't smoked half as much this week that I had to, and I mentioned that last week, that I really don't smoke. If you weren't here, I started doing this spiritual work and I started smoking. I get into, I would need something, you know, not a drink, or I don't shop, or unless I'm at Goldsmith or something, but I would pick up a cigarette for my anesthetic, and I just haven't been doing that. And I've been writing every day, and I was reading the reassurance, and that's what I do a lot. I just keep telling them, I'll handle this one. I get it. I hear something coming, and I get it. So as soon as I hear it coming, there's a real big fuck off that comes, and that's the way I handle that. And then I immediately tell them that I'll take care of this one. You guys can just relax for a while. I'll handle this. And I don't know what that's all about yet. I mean, I think my spiritual adult is kicking in a lot. It feels really good. It feels really healthy. And I'm laughing a lot.
Well, your kid's not in total terror all the time. What a change.
Yeah, it's real different. And it's been kind of coming on a little bit and a little bit. Last week when you said, when I talked about the fears, and when you turn around and face me and you said, it's really nothing but a sponge bath, that's really what it's that like. When you actually turn around and go, yeah, what is it? And not respond, but just listen and not let it go. I mean, that's just what's been going on for me. And I've been talking to more people that I normally don't talk to. I had a great time here yesterday. Normally I would show up for about 15 minutes and left. And I was here a couple hours, I think. It was great. Had a wonderful time. And just really enjoy it. I'm enjoying my new relationships with people. And so I hope I haven't really read anybody's script or stepped on your day, but what a great day. It's a great day.
Your kid has hope,
Yeah, that's right.
which is where we're supposed to be. That's what step 4 is, hope.
Thanks.
Let's move on to step 5, reassurance. Start reading the please, and pass it around, and let's read it, and then talk.
Step 5, reassurance. Step 5 establishes belief. This is often the longest step of all because the kid is scared to death and doesn't trust anybody. Even if we can get it to accept and understand some new concepts, we still have to build its belief in what we're saying. After belief is established, the kid will be ready to move. The kid will be willing to come towards us. We will teach it to believe by delivering reassurance. If we assure kids that we will love them even if the world doesn't, and that we will never reject them even if the world does. We reassure kids that we want them to join us to become one with us. We reassure kids every turn, telling them that we'll never reject them, we approve of them, we trust them. We validate them over and over by telling them that we understand why they feel and think the way they do, given their information. We ask them what they want, what they're afraid of, what they think they need, and we begin to change our actions to fulfill our own needs. We investigate their beliefs and show them their falsehoods through counterexamples. We separate the story from the emotions about the stories.
When we look at the script event as a story we're telling ourselves about something that's going to happen, we have distance ourselves from the emotion reduces. And we can reason with them about the falsity of the story, perhaps by bringing up a list of counterexamples. We can talking ourselves through our fears whenever we feel a glitch. Another reassuring technique is to let the kid know that the adult is on the field. We tell our kids, I, the spiritual adult, will handle this situation. You don't have to. You can get behind me or stay home or whatever if this is an adult situation. We can tell our kids the truth. If it's the truth, they will respond. Here are some examples of expressing reassurance. I will always be here with you. I will always take care of you. I will face this, you don't have to. This step is after when our kids know that we will never leave them or forsake them.
Long step, lots of work, daily work. This is really where the script work and the kid work become fully integrated, because you may recall that one of the script techniques was building a list of contrary examples, and another script technique is convincing you, giving up resistance behavior so that your kid can drop the always never part of the story by seeing that it doesn't happen sometimes. Mm-hmm. The game is now that they're back together, and when the glitch comes up, first of all, if you're in emotion, if you find yourself in emotion, you just work the script steps, okay? Work the script steps, recognize it, accept it, take responsibility for it, and strive towards forgiveness and dropping all concern, okay? That's what you do when you're in emotion. But if you can catch the glitch, if you feel the glitch, if you feel it coming up, you can right there do kid reassurance. You know, and that's what I was saying back there. You feel the glitch and you say, uh-oh, what are we afraid of? You know? What's going on here? What am I afraid of? What do you think is going to happen to say to your kid? Oh, it looks like, you know. And right there, you're already in dialogue, and you can walk the kid through it. I mean, well, you don't need to handle it. I can handle it, or whatever's appropriate. Or if the kid, you know, thinks you're going to be, well, it doesn't matter what they do to you. I've said this before, too. It doesn't matter what they do. I won't do that. It doesn't matter what they say. I'll never say that to you. It doesn't matter what happens here. I'll take care of you. It's always I, and that's the I of the spiritual adult. That's the God spirit. That's spiritual adulthood. I won't do that. I'll take care of you. And so this is where they come together. So, and the other thing, of course, is in your daily writing, whatever comes up, be reassured. Sure, I understand why you feel that way, but it's not true. That's not what happens, you know. Questions? Yeah.
I have a question about what you said earlier about, and I've heard you say this before about that becoming, I think you said, Essentials was sharing about becoming selfish, and you said, I guess encourage that. And it's something that's come up a lot for me. It is perfect because I struggled with that, like being accused of feeling like I was being selfish, and when I really looked at it, where was those things that had to do with taking care of myself, the things that we talked about in here, exercise, play, rest, and nutrition. That I was, and those to me are like the essentials, and so I guess I just am wondering, and then I get confused with like being selfish, and then I confuse it with we're supposed to be getting rid of the little stuff, like the little stuff, small s, and I'm just getting confused about that. Like, how are those two different things?
Well, it's really simple. I can't do anything for anybody at all. I little self. Okay? Self is of no use to anybody at all. Little self is in kids. Little self is operating out of fear. Little self is in resistance behavior. As long as I'm in kids or operating from anywhere around there, I am of no good to anybody. All my service work is resistance behavior. All that stuff. For coming from kids, it's all resistance behavior. I'm a do-gooder and I'm a caretaker. I'm doing all that stuff because I want people to like me. And all the motives are wrong, and everybody knows it, and they can't get away from me, and I'm useless to all the world. I'm out there beating people to death with my signs for peace. I'm absolutely useless. If I think I can help somebody, I'm malpracticing them. If I'm there trying to help you, I'm saying you need help, and that's a lie. You don't. You're exactly where God wants you to be. So all of that stuff is nonsense, It's just pure nonsense. So instead, if I become what you would call completely selfish, all you people who want stuff from me because you're not able to provide it for yourself yet, if instead I become completely selfish and work on myself spiritually and get into spiritual growth and get my little self out of the way, which is the result of being completely selfish, then God flows through. And now I'm a gift to the universe. Okay? Just by being myself, my real self. So by becoming selfish, taking care of my little self, and growing my little self up, I become my big self. And now I'm truly selfish, but that self is your self. I'm now the self, and it's flowing, and now it's all happening. And I'm not doing anything, it's effortless. It's all overflow. Okay? And it's all effortless. And, let's pick on Han's book called Being Peace. If you want peace in the world, you don't go out there and campaign for peace. You just be peaceful. And people come in and feel the peace, and they get peaceful. Some of them like it. So they actually take it out. So that's what I mean by that. The best thing you can do for all of mankind is to be totally selfish and work on yourself. In fact, it's the only productive thing you can do for all of mankind. Be totally selfish and work on yourself. Now, if you have obligations in your family to your children, there are things like that you do need to take care of. But beyond that, ignore the rest of the world. Don't fix them. Don't help them.
This is what was confusing to me, because I know part of what can be so healing, getting into AA or whatever program, is that spending so much of my life in isolation and thinking about myself, doing things for service, had a really big impact on me, and I was doing it a lot of the time
because I thought I was supposed to, so you wouldn't get mad, whatever, but it still had a good effect on you. And now, the answer to my question, I already know that because the issue is so a little confusing to articulate. I know that when the question comes up now, if I take it into quiet, I get very clear on what to do. But until that quiet exists, and I'm a little confused about that. And it was something that worked really well until it stopped working. I mean, it seems like it was totally selfish, never doing anything for anyone. And then the next level was doing things for other people and not wanting to do them, and then doing too much. And then the next level is taking it in and doing what I'm sure is more than. Yeah, I'm doing more now than I was before, and I'm presenting everything. And
well, there are levels of work. I would never say this from an AA podium, but you're here, and it's time to integrate the kids and become a real service. And those people are of local service, but it's entirely different. You know, what's really going on in AA, in spite of all our running around and being a service, what's really going on in AA is consciousness, which is a strong spiritual consciousness. And what's really happening there, the real work is in showing up and bringing the consciousness after you've developed it.
I just realized that the putting confusion is, especially when I'm sponsoring new people, is, you know, I used to say, you know, which the demonstration, the meetings and all this stuff, I find myself kind of halting. What am I saying?
It's not necessary. I mean, all of that's folklore. And the idea of never turning down an AA request is pure insanity. I mean, that's totally at the expense of taking care of yourself. And any service at the expense of taking care of yourself is insanity.
What about that idea of, I don't know what's good for me, which in many cases I find out my thoughts of what I think will be good for me are very different from what I do. So if I say no to something, I may not know what's good for me.
Well, if I don't know what's good for me, I better consult somebody who does. But it's certainly not any random person at AA, or even the group consciousness necessarily, although with respect to drinking and stuff like that, the group consciousness certainly knows what's good for you. Yeah, get a sponsor, work the steps. That kind of stuff is good for you. Because a sponsor has some experience and some consciousness and can give you direction. And working the unrelated steps, they're spiritually sound stuff. So taking spiritual direction is the thing we all need to do. I'm not saying that you need guidance. I'm not saying that when I say work on yourself, you may well need guidance in doing that. You know. There's not a conflict there. But yeah, never turning down an AA request is your insanity. Because the people that are requesting may have no spiritual consciousness at all. They have no idea what's good for you, them, or AA. And yet they're putting out the requests.
It's just been kind of interesting. And, you know, saying no sometimes and then realizing, well, you know, I really would like to do. I think it's just experimenting. You know,
Sure it is, huh?
We're experimenting else.
If you have a habit of always saying yes, practice saying no. If you have a habit of always saying no, practice saying yes. You know, get power.
I'm so glad we're talking about this. I've talked to a couple other people that that's exactly what's going on with me right now. I was saying, you know, I don't know how, like, because my sponsors show AA in that same way, and, you know, and that, like, we've been butting heads like crazy for the last week about every single thing, you know, and she wants me, she got on me about not raising my hand in a meeting to sponsor people, and I'm like, I know what's right. You know, like I know it's not, like I'm genuine to me. I don't want to start something I can't finish. And my team is like full on coming out left and right now. And that team had to take care of the kids at home, had to work, had to, you know, and I'm going to, you know, it doesn't want to be responsible for somebody else right now, you know. And it's And it's just like I don't know how to deal with that stuff. And so I reached out to some people here, and it felt like, especially with me, you know, but to talk about it is even bigger, you know.
Make sure the people you're taking advice from have a higher spiritual consciousness than you. You know? I mean, make sure they do, or don't take advice from them. You know, that's all I can say. I went to India at 5 years sober, and then I went and hung out in Commons for a couple of years, and then I came back here, and I was given a great deal during the time I did that. And then I came back here, and I did nothing and sponsored nobody for 9 years while I let that stuff grow within me and develop and such like. And then all of a sudden people started asking me, and it started coming out, okay? But I mean, I incubated that stuff for 9 years. And I had a sponsor who had a higher spiritual consciousness than me, and she knew exactly what I should do. I feel like I need to, you know, people say I need to share in meetings, and she says, you just be the rock. Sit in the corner and be the rock, be the foundation of your meeting. You know, she allowed me to not share, she allowed me to not take cake, she allowed me to be quiet and incubate, because she knew exactly what I was doing and what I was growing and where I was going. So, you know, and the basic rules are fine for getting started, and, you know, I mean, we sit here, I mean, Clancy's a great example, Clancy and Hawk, you know? There's probably 5,000 people that are sober because of Clancy's absolute strict redneck Nazi do it his way or die motherfucker approach to society. There's 5,000, 10,000 people that are sober because of Clancy. Wonderful, right? And I could never have gotten sober there. And people that get sober and, you know, after a while they start looking around saying, is this all there is? And when they say, is this all there is, then perhaps they need another sponsor than Clancy, you know? Because that's all there is to Clancy. So, if you're in this work, if you're here right now, if you're here right now, you can trust what's right here. It brought you here, and this is the highest work, this is higher work than they're doing at the meetings. It brought you here. And you can trust it. But you have to get quiet enough to listen to it. But trust yourself. Trust yourself. Nobody's here that can't trust themselves. Don't take my word for it. Go ahead and see what you have. You have what Barbara calls a made up of truth. I mean, don't take what I'm saying right now as gospel. Go within and see if it's right for you. I don't know, it's right for me.
And I think she knows really when you come to that place where you don't need sponsor-sponsor relationships out of script. You need them because you come to a place of knowing. Like, you know what, I'm done with this person, and I love them, and I'm so grateful for them, but it's time to move on. You know, I'm not that big person.
Let me tell you what I think sponsorship is, the way I sponsor people. You know, and the way I tell people I sponsor the sponsor. When somebody comes to you and asks you to sponsor them, it means they want what you have. Okay? If somebody asks me to sponsor them, it means they want what I have. Or if they come to workshop training, it means they want what I have. So what's my job? It's to tell them how I got what I have. Period. You know? I mean, it's got nothing to do with dogma or anything else. The point is that I have what I have as a result of what I've done for the past 30 years. Okay? And I'll tell you what it is, and show you what I did, and tell you what I'm doing now, and share all of that with you. Now, when you have what I have, why would you talk to me anymore? You know, why wouldn't you find somebody else that has something you want? You know, when you have what I have, then it's time to share it. I mean, the sponsorship is not a permanent relationship. It's a tool. Mentoring is a good word for it. You know, there's nothing sacred about it. It's not a long term. You know, I've only had one sponsor, but she still has what I want. You know? You met my rock. You know. But, you know, there's a lot of folklore running around AA. Most of the stuff that you hear in an AA meeting is nonsense. But there's a really good consciousness there that results in us staying sober. I mean, what you hear in AA meetings is opinions. You know, the people that say go check it, see if it's in the first 164 pages, they're right. If you can't find it in the big book, then question it. There's not much wrong in the big book. There's a couple of errors in there, a couple of spiritual errors in there, but not many, you know. And that stuff's fundamentally sound, and working the steps works. You know, trust that. You know. Clean house and find God and share, you know. But yeah, there's an awful lot of nonsense going on, and anybody who thinks they know how it should be done is wrong. Yeah. They know perhaps a way that works. They might know a way that works for them, and but they don't know how it works or how I should work. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. There's nothing sacred in AA except the whole thing is absolutely holy. But there's no detail about AA that's sacred. What else? Yeah,
It's been said. I think you were talking about, you know, they said you're sad, out of control, and crying, and you need to cry an hour a day until you're done. Rage for 15 minutes a day until you're done. And, I could been playing with that, you know, and going and crying, but we're wondering where the spiritual adult goes while everybody's crying. You know,
that's what I mean
it
by...
doesn't feel like I'm being very spiritual when I'm crying and raging.
Well, if there's a spiritual adult there containing the kid while it's feeling his feelings, that's perfectly fine. That's what I mean by containing the kid while it's crying. I mean, yeah. But letting the kid cry is, you know, who's letting the kid cry? Right. I mean, the fact is the parent would shut her up.
Right.
So there is spiritual adult.
Thank you.
You're not shutting yourself down anymore.
It's the parent.
Okay. So there is spiritual adult in here now, and we're letting that bubble up and get out.
That was it. Thank you.
I just want to share that before I came today, I thought that I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I thought, now I have that career. And I just realized I had probably 3 of them that I love to do. And I just didn't recognize it because it's good. And now, you know, I can have hope that.
A good guideline about that is, if you can, go within and find out what is it you would do full time for fun and for free if you knew your needs would be met while you were doing it. You know, that might well be your God script. And of course, if you become as good at that as you can, they will. A leap of faith sometimes. Often. Some of us just fall into it. Some of us start there. Let's get going. Good work, everybody. Great class. No class next week. Okay, thanks for coming. I love you all.